All right. Good morning, friends, everyone. A warm welcome to all of you on behalf of CSRA Group. CSRA stands for Chaturvedi Social Responsibility and Advisory Group. Friends, for those who are joining us for the first time, this is a group of dedicated professionals working across the world and trying to do something for the community, Chaturvedi community. So I'm very delighted to welcome you all in the first roundtable webinar that CSRA is organizing. Friends, this roundtable comes at a time when the world, which has been reeling from the pandemic effect, is recovering. The signs of hope and recovery is emanating all over the world. We are seeing positive signals coming from different parts of the world. And this year will be a year of recovery growth. And we all very positively look forward to get back to our normal lives. And for the government, so far as government is concerned, all the world has been, different governments has been severely hit by the pandemic last year. So was India. So this budget that we are going to discuss on the roundtable today for 2021, which was presented by our own finance minister on 1st of February, came at a time when some decisions, difficult decisions were to be made by the government. Some strategic choices was to be made by the government. Looking at overall trajectory of growth was looked up by the government, and it came at a time when the country required significant impetus from the government. So this budget was a very important budget because it laid the foundation for the economic growth for the country for the next 4 to 5 years. The finance minister presented the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan based on the 6 pillars that they've spelled out in the budget, which fundamentally will act as a stepping stone for the economic recovery of the country in all the sectors. There has been a lot of deliberations on what was said, what was not said. A lot of discussions and debate has been going on the changes in different sectors, the reforms that has been announced, the disinvestment policy that has been discussed at length, the changes both in direct tax and indirect tax, though they were not major, but some announcement, some relief, lot has been discussed. Aam Aadmi also has been looking at what the budget has held for them. So for each sector of people, for every segment of people, we have seen budget contains something. For someone, it contains something more. For someone, it contains something less. So today, we are going to discuss in our budget session, in our roundtable, about how the budget is going to impact the Indian economy, Aam Aadmi, and the corporates, the mid-size, the small size, the large corporates. So it's with great delight and pleasure, I welcome you all to our first roundtable to be held on webinar, to be held on the budget discussion. Friends, I'm extremely delighted to share with you that today all the speakers on the panel in the roundtable are from our own community. And it's a great delight and honor to say that the community has reached to a level where it has so many experts, which amongst ourselves can give different dimension to a complex subject as like budget. What we have done in this webinar is, as you will see in the roundtable format, we have brought around 9 speakers who are going to address on each topic separately. The time allocated to all the speakers is 10 minutes. So my request is to be vigilant on the time. Just before the 2 minutes, while your time is ending, you will hear a bell. So I request you to respect that's a sort of a timer alarm given to you that you have to conclude in 2 minutes. Any questions that you have will be discussed in the Q&A session, which we will have at the end of the webinar. So please do put your questions in the chat box, and I expect people to focus on this subject that has been given to you. So without any further ado, I would like to invite our first speaker to address on the budget, which has an impact on the corporate taxes. Our own legendary Brij Mohan Chaturvedi uncle, I welcome you to this roundtable. I request you to share your thoughts and insight of the budget on the impact that it has on the corporates. For people who may not know, I think everyone knows Brij Mohan uncle, but still, he's the legendary chartered accountant that our community has. He's the managing partner of BM Financial Advisory and Strategic Financials Private Limited. Brij Mohan uncle, over to you. Thank you, and I wish everyone a very fruitful webinar. I request everyone to make it very interactive so that we all can benefit from the experts who are amongst with us. Thank you so much. BM uncle, over to you.
Thank you very much, Vikas, and good morning to all. As you all are aware that the world is passing through a pandemic crisis, so is the India, and so is our finance. The finance of the common man or the finance of the central government. This year we have 14 lakhs crore rupees revenue deficit. 14 lakhs crore. If we divide this by our population, you can understand that every man has lost a huge amount. Okay. What is the reason? What is the reason? The reason is that the tax collection has gone down. Tax collection has gone down by a substantial amount of 530 crore in net. But actually speaking, if you look, the corporate tax has come down substantially by 236 crore, 2,36,000. Income tax has come down by 178,000 crore. GST central government component has come down 150,000 crore rupees. But a surprising thing is that excise duty has gone up. Excise duty collection has gone up by 94,000 crore rupees, which means that excise duty is leviable on the petroleum products and some other which has not formed part of the CGST or GST syndrome, which means that the country is consuming. Country is consuming, but corporates are shying away with the declaration of profit or payment of the advance tax or the financial tax. And this deficit is after taking all Vikas to Vishwas schemes and whatnot. So the deficit of this year, 848 crore has emerged by net 534 crore rupees revenue loss and 316 crore rupees on account of the expenditure increment. And this increment is in the various heads, government has done plus minus, but very remarkable is that 3,16,000 crore has been spent on food warehousing, which means that entire year, the Kisan Sabha has started now, but entire year government has picked up so much grain, astonishing figure. And under this pandemic, such a figure. Now, this is the background. And another thing, you have 20 lakhs crore rupees borrowing by the central government during this year. Now we know how the corporates are facing when they are keep borrowing, and sustain, and ultimately they face so much music. So is with the individuals. Now we don't know how the country behaves, that if you are going for 20 lakhs crore rupees borrowing, where you have only the expenditure of the 33 lakhs crore. So out of 33 lakhs crore, the 20 lakhs crore is the borrowings, revenue and capital sum both taken together. So it's a great pandemic situation. Okay, this is the overall aspects of the budget. Coming back to the taxation aspects, indirect taxation aspects, I would say, where very far-reaching amendment has been made in the treatment of goodwill. There are two types of goodwill which was happening in the corporate sector. One was that, okay, we are the partners in a firm where 4 partners are there and they have done a lot of business, the depreciated assets are there, etc., etc. And their name is there, goodwill is there. So one partner wish to resign and somebody else wish to come in, okay, then that time what you do is that by revalue, मैंने तो 5 लाख में ऑफिस खरीदा था, अभी तो वो 5 करोड़ का हो गया, okay, revalue it. Okay, that was the system going on. And the revaluation is credited to all the partners in their ratio. Okay, now what happens that the retiring partner will get a share of that revaluation, and it was tax-free because there were several Supreme Court decisions. Okay, government has said no. Now, no more any credit coming out of the revaluation in your capital account, and that capital account you want to withdraw only to the extent of paid for or earned capital will be tax-free, and portion of the revaluation asset, if you are getting, okay, it will be subject to capital gain. Now, whether it is a short term or a long term, depending on 3-year period. Another aspect of the goodwill treatment in the corporate sector is that when you merge 2-3 companies, and while you're merging 2-3 companies and doing amalgamations, okay, then there may be a share swap, there may be money transfers, etc. Okay. Now, in that, what happens when your assets value is less and your liabilities and capital provided by you in lieu of their share, okay, by way of exchange of ratio is more. Then we accountant used to debit into the goodwill account in the amalgamated company. Now government has said nothing doing. You can't claim depreciation on that, though you can say that it has costed you the money because it is an exchange, a valuable shares has been given to you for your defunct company or whatever. Okay, but government say no more depreciation. So far, people were claiming depreciation. Some high courts has allowed, some has not allowed. Okay, so government has said put full stop to this, and they have put full stop to no more doing. This is the serious situation as far as this is concerned. Another problem was emerging from the corporate sector generally was that you deduct the PF, etc., from the employees, and you don't deposit with the government. The employees lose the money. And you take a pretext, करे बाबा अभी तो टाइम है ना 43B में मेरे को इनकम टैक्स रिटर्न भरने तक का टाइम मिलेगा, तब तक जमा कर दूंगा. तो आपने अप्रैल से लेके और अगली दिवाली और नवंबर तक आपने एक्सटेंड कर लिया, एंड उस पीरियड में आपका बेड़ा गर्क हो गया, तो आपने वो जमा नहीं किया, तो पीपल आर लूजिंग मनी. Government said no. If it is your tax, it is your contribution. You can of course pay up to the return filing date. But what you are deducting from the employees, okay, you cannot hold that for the so much period. So you will be allowed deduction if you pay in time as per the PF Act or other respective acts. Otherwise, you will not be paid the distribution. So this was one of the serious situations was there. Then housing, affordable housing business as such. In affordable housing business, 100% tax-free situation for the small houses at the different locations were there. And for that, it was there that, okay, plan should be passed up to the so-and-so date. So government has extended this period for 1 more year. So if even up to the next 31st March 2022, your plan is got passed, okay, and you fulfill other criteria, your income will be tax-free. Now, what people were doing was that, okay, I am a land holder and you are a builder. Okay, we will come into a joint venture LLP sort of situation or whatever situation and go for the plan pass. Okay, we develop a project for the small people, which is even 60 lakhs here. Okay, it is 100% tax free. So that's how the affordable housing sector has seen lot of new project coming. Although the goods were not sold, the houses were not getting sold. So Maharashtra government came down with reduction of the stamp duty, and you have seen in the month of December what sort of growth has happened in the real estate. Looking at that, government has extended this one more year for the affordable housing as such. And even the interest which is to be paid by the borrower for the financing of that loan will be tax-free for one more year for those people as such. Then looking at the real estate situation, if my 10 minutes are getting over, I don't know. No, it's still, yeah, 2 minutes more. Okay. Another the safe harbor situation where what is happening is that if you are selling some asset, okay, below the market rate, fair market value, okay, it is subject to 56 section, taxable in your hand, okay. But for the housing, it was earlier 5% leverage was given because real estate prices were mixing. So the rational value plus 5% was allowed under the Income Tax Act. Then government increased it to 10%, and this year they have increased to 20%, fully realizing the real estate price are not at the level where it is affordable for the people. So if you have a ready rational value of 100, you can deal with it at 80 rupees and still in this safe harbor of 20% plus minus, you will have no tax problem. There are so many other provisions. I can go it quickly, but it will be injustice to others. We will take up rest of the point in question answer and spare time when chairman will allow. Thank you.
Uncle, thank you very much for sharing your insights. I think very briefly you have touched upon on all the relevant changes which has been announced by the finance minister. Thank you very much for briefly highlighting to all the participants. Now moving on to our next speaker, who is going to discuss the changes announced in the indirect taxes. To address this topic, we have with us CA Anurag Chaturvedi, who's CEO of Chartered House. It's an Anderson consulting firm based in Dubai. And Anurag is also secretary of the ICI Dubai chapter. Very bright chartered accountant from Dubai, making the community proud. I'm very happy to share with you all that we together are trying to make a difference to our accounting fraternity, to our chartered accountant friends, both in Middle East as well as Anurag, I would like to welcome you on behalf of the CSRA Group to address the audience on the changes announced in indirect taxes. Over to you, Anurag.
Thank you, Vikas bhai, for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to share my views with the entire fraternity. And I'm so grateful to see Brij Chaturvedi, such a great personality, and I'm very delighted to hear his perspective on that. So everybody, a very warm good morning to all of you. See, with respect to when you talk about the budget 2021, the budget 2021 is more of a reform-driven situation where the Honorable Finance Minister, Ms. Nirmala Sitharaman, talks about reforms, and it talks about India 2025, $5 trillion economy. It talks about majority of the reforms that government is trying to create a lot of employment by increasing the capex size of things. So if I talk about capex, they're trying to see how the India can really create much more competitive environment by bringing the PPP model, most of the cases. So if you've seen that PPP, the public-private partnership model, into the shipping, into the education, into the healthcare, bringing the divestment of several government-led organizations. Now, when all these things happen differently, you'd look into that. A lot of foreign expertise will gonna pop into the country, which will not only create competitive environment, but also it creates a lot of opportunities for a lot of people to dig out. I mean, I was just in a, before I just get into the indirect tax, I just want to set the tone. I was just in a session before this session. So last week we had a bit on budget session. So there was a speaker, Saurabh Mutreja. What the perspective this guy has brought in on the budget. He says, look, India is talking about only 20 to 25 companies, which has monopolized most of the sector. Monopolized. So he talked about like 20, 80, 70 to 80% GDP of India is governed by top 20 companies. If you see that entire stat. Now, LIC is one of them, and several government organizations are one of those entities which is basically monopolized in the respective sector. So this diversification will definitely gonna help a lot of people to come up, and probably this monopolization will have to an extent limited itself. Talking about indirect taxes, not much of the changes except quite a few relief to MSME from a custom perspective. But before I get into that, let me share important thing about
Doctor,
yeah. So relaxation. So there is certain relaxation to small and medium sized businesses by eliminating the mandatory audit requirement into the business. So any business which is earning a turnover of more than 5 crores, less than up to 5 crores, are not required to go through the mandatory audit. Now, when I say about mandatory audit, people may find very difficult for chartered accountant. Chartered accountant is going to lose the business, but I say that most of the CAs will going to have better role to play in this situation. So government has created called the self assessment plan. When the self assessment plan happen, the chances of mistake goes very very high, very very high. So this can be a good move for a lot of people who have very strong platform within the business with respect to compliances, but it may have at the same time a lot of opportunities for our chartered accountant friends and professionals, because once people go into the self assessment mode, when the assessment situation comes in 1 year later, then the chances of having penalties and things increases. So one side, it's a very good move that people need not to go through a recurring process of compliance cost, but at the same time it create opportunities and it create the risk for businesses that there may be certain situation where they can go into that. So they can do the self certification to reduce their compliance cost, but I think this is not something which is very well affected move by the government. The second part, they talk about the interest payable on the net liability. So until now, what was the law? The law was talking about you need to pay the interest on the gross liability. Gross liability means like whatever your tax due, not removing the input tax, right? But if you see globally, whether it's Her Majesty Royal and Custom, which is HMRC, like one of the oldest VAT and indirect tax regime, or we talk about Singapore, we talk about any other part of the world, most of the places, the normal rule for the, when we talk about penalties, the normal rule is the net, whether it called GST or we call it VAT or we call it sale tax. It used to be always net situation, which means like whatever due tax that we have on the supplies as per the law, reducing the eligible input tax credit. Input tax credit is whatever the expenses that we make and we pay VAT on that, that gets set off against the sale that we make. So basically on the sales there's the output tax and on the purchases there's input tax. So the net of that is called the net tax liability, and gross tax liability is whatever the GST that we have collected on the sales. So until now, the provision was there on the gross tax liability, you have to pay 18% if you have not paid. But now the Honorable Finance Minister said that it will be on the net, which is in line with the global trend, which is good. And they have brought this entire effect with respect from 2017, since the inception of the GST. This is a very good move, but practically to get it implemented and practically to see its impact is yet to be seen, because once somebody has already been into the audit or into the assessment itself, how this entire ruling will be applied against that, yet the impact of that to be seen. And India is such a huge place, and especially with respect to the tax litigations, it takes its own pace. So it is, at the same time, it's a very good move, I believe. Very, very good move, and very, very business favorable. I think it will also provide a lot of opportunities to our friends into the fraternity, who can really take the advantage of this entire situation and advise their clients in relation to that. Now, if we see about some of the important conditions, I mean, I'll give you a little bit perspective here from the UAE, which is predominantly based on the HMRC, Her Majesty Royal and Custom in UK, and a bit part from IRS, which is Singapore, and some part initially we have taken from Malaysia as well, when the Malaysia implemented GST, although they rolled it back and they went into the city tax. But when the UAE things came in picture, they have taken a bit of part. So here what happens, the credit condition, the to avail the input credit, this very important condition and stringent conditions are that you are eligible to take input credit only if your certificates meet the invoice meets a certain criteria, which means it must say that it's an invoice. Like in the UAE, it says about tax invoice. Then you should have your Polymer form, which talks about various supplies. So whatever supplies that you're making, be it service or be it goods, then quantity, then rate of tax available, amount of the tax, and then total amount. And then below that, if it is in foreign currency, so if any of the criteria is not met, the tax authority across the world, what they do, they reject your invoice. So when you reject invoice, how it impact you? The rejection of the invoice not only just disallow your claim, to avail the input credit, which means in that period for which the invoice get disallowed, in that period your tax liability has understated, because you are not eligible though you claimed it, and then you get into. So in that respective period, your tax liability get understated, and you are now supposed to pay due interest on that understated tax as well. Right now, you need to go back to the supplier again, get it corrected, and then put it together again. Now, this becomes slightly complicated scenario, and it many times result into reconciliation. So what the government says that that you have to ensure that your suppliers are providing a right format of the invoice, and they're also uploading in their outward supply statement that they file in relation to that. So important thing that for businesses need to look into those things. Last part on MSME, before I get into the custom, is that whenever you get into the tax appeal or tax litigation, often across a place, most of the times you have to put together 100% tax due, whatever the dispute amount is there, that 100% tax dispute amount you need to put together to go into the appeal process, which means your due tax and your liabilities with respect to interest and fines, if there's any. So those entire 100% you need to put. So government says that only 25% of deposited amount you can put together, and you can get along with the next level with the GST commissioner. So these are some of the small changes that I see probably can help businesses on that side of things. Talking about the custom part, uh, as we all know that steel industry was struggling because of rising prices and other stuff in India. So government, and also talking about sustainable model, government, the entire budget was talking about sustainability as well. So towards sustainability, they also given some of the relief to the scrap industry. So they say that they'll be removing anti-dumping duty and countervailing duty on certain steel product, and provide relief to copper recycler, which means like scrap people. The duty is reduced from 5 to 2.5%. Also, on steel prices, the custom duty will be unified to 7.5% on semis, flat, long-term product, and alloy. Now, if you see about these changes, small changes, small reflect, but it create a huge amount. Why I'm saying about, I'm touching a little bit on this, because I'm working with quite a few scrap people. They're world's top scrap people. Like for example, one of the companies, Gemini Corp, which Vikas Bhai knows very well. When he called me, the owner of that, he was mentioning that I know Vikas Bhai very well, and it's not that we have met. We had a discussion, and one of the client becomes, so he mentioned that, yeah, Anurag, your name looks very familiar. I said, it's not my name. My cousin is there, Vikas, who is in Netherlands, whom you must have met. So he has actually created he's one of the chartered account member, and he himself says, look, I become the Kawadi wala. But size of business, you cannot imagine, like, a scrap dealer, how much money that he can generate. So it's one of the big segment, and a small reform of this 7.5% consolidation at the rate level, or when we talk about reduction in the duty from 5 and 2.5%, it make huge difference to this industry because they deal in a very fractional margin. So this becomes a very game changer for the steel and scrap industry, I believe. So good reform overall. If I say that, I will summarize in saying so that government has tried to create lot of capex, but keeping the rate of tax steady, which means they are not impacting anybody's pocket to get the money to bridge your, the GDP deficit. So they are not impacting anybody's pocket. They are not touching anybody's
Anurag
pocket.
bhai,
Yeah,
you have to conclude.
yeah.
All right. Perfect. Thank you very much, Anurag bhai, for sharing the insights. I think, GST and indirect taxes is such a complex subject that for a common man to understand the nuisances it creates is very difficult. And I'm very happy that the way you have explained the things, making it so simpler and easier for people to understand. Thank you very much for sharing your insights on the changes. And certainly, the owner of Gemini Corporation is a dear friend. I mean, he's one of the chartered accountants who has made our fraternity proud. And the guy is doing a business of almost $1 billion in Europe, based out of Belgium, and employing a lot of chartered accountants. So he's holding our CA flag very high in Belgium. But it's excellent. We have a mutual connect. Moving on to our next speaker, and the next topic is budget impact on markets, which is to be addressed by Love Bhai. Love Bhai will be joining us in 15 minutes. He's delayed in a scheduled meeting. So next topic, which is budget changes for individuals. To address this topic, we have with us Naveen Chaturvedi, who is the CEO of Valuecent Services. Naveen specializes in advising individuals on the tax status, on the tax positions, and Naveen has almost a decade of experience in dealing with these matters. Naveen, may I request you to please address the audience? Over to you, Naveen. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Okay. So good morning, a very good morning to everyone here. And thanks for my elder brother Vikas Chaturvedi for inviting me to this session. So I think all of them are elder to me, all seniors to me, professionals, other than Amit Pathak. So I'm here to learn, to show some skills out here. So the topic which was given to me is changes in budget for individuals for the financial year 2021-22, assessment year 22-23. So there are some small changes in the budget this time. There were a lot of news in the media that nothing has changed in direct taxation, everything remains the same. But there are a lot of changes which are significant and which affects our taxation. So I would like to start with the first thing: senior citizen above 75 years and above are exempt from ITR filing. There is a compliance reduction for senior citizens of 75 years and above. From have been given a exemption from return filing, but there is no reduction in tax liability. Their tax liability remains the same as it was in the previous budget. So there is a misconception in the media and all they are putting out that there is a exemption from tax return, so they may not be required to pay the income tax, but their tax liability remains the same as it was in previous year. So it's just that the bill proposed that ITR filing required for senior citizens aged 75 years and above who have income from pension and interest only. So this is applicable only for those who have income only from interest and pension. So now how this will be implemented? So they have said they have to provide a declaration to the banker with details of their pension, interest, ATC, whatever investment they have done, whatever, whether they have want to go through the old regime or the new regime of income tax. So the banker will calculate the tax liability of that senior citizen, and accordingly they have proposed a new section, section 194P, deduction of TDS. So as per that section, they will compute the tax liability and deduct the TDS. So overall, the tax liability of the senior citizen will remain the same as it was, but it's just that the compliance has been shifted from a professional to a banker. So basically, he will be computing the tax liability and accordingly deducting the TDS. That's about senior citizen. Then there is a major change, which is section 8, extended up to 31st of March 2022. Brijmon uncle has already mentioned it and gave a brief idea. So I would like to give a little more detail. So section 24 of the income tax provides an individual deduction from home loan interest up to rupees 2 lakh, which was there since a long time. So government introduced another section 80EE, which has been extended for this year. So on top of that 2 lakh interest deduction which you have received, you can get an additional 1.5 lakh interest deduction from your income, subject to certain conditions, which are the stamp value should be up to 45 lakhs for the house property which you are purchasing. Another condition is the area of the house should be up to 60 meter for metropolitan region and up to 90 meter for others. So basically, if you are buying a small house with a stamp value up to 45 lakh, you can get this benefit of additional 1.5 lakh deduction in interest. So I would like to say that this is a good time to buy a house. So there are multiple reasons you are getting deduction under section 24, you are getting deduction under section 80 EA. On top of that, the market has gone down, so prices has corrected. On top of that, there is lower interest rates in the banking sector nowadays, somewhere around 7%, 8%, which was not there since last maybe 5 years or 10 years. So you get that advantage. And for in some states, the government to facilitate this, they have decreased the stamp duty. So in Maharashtra, they have reduced to 2% for a specific period of time. So you are getting multiple benefits. You have, if you are trying to buy a house in this particular period in the coming financial year, you will get multiple benefits. So the third thing, which is a major thing, is tax on ULIP gain. So there is tax on ULIP gain if the aggregate ULIP premium is above 2.5 lakh. So what does that mean? So previously the government kept capital gain tax on mutual funds and other investments. So these insurance companies and all, they are bringing up big market campaigns and all. See, we are still exempt. You can invest in us. You will get the capital gain exemption and all. But the government has seen that okay, it got the eye of government that people are investing all their money in ULIPs and insurance premiums. So from this year, what they have suggested is, if your aggregate premium or investment is above 2.5 lakhs, you will be subject to capital gain tax. So capital gain tax in two forms. If the investment is above 1 year, then long-term capital gain, which is taxable at the rate of 10%. If the overall capital gain is above 1 lakh, and if the gain is for less than 1 year, then short-term capital gain, which is 15%. Then another major thing is EPF contribution. I think somebody has already asked the questions in chat box, which says that if the EPF contribution is above 2.5 lakh, then the interest earned on that contribution is taxable. So basically, if in a particular financial year, if the EPF part is above 2.5 lakh, then you will be earning some interest on that amount. So that amount would be taxable. So for example, if you are if the contribution is up to 2.5 lakh, then it is still exempt. There is no taxability. But suppose it increases to 2.6 lakhs. So there is an addition of 10,000 rupees. So whatever interest is earned on then 10,000 rupees, that particular part will be taxable. Then another point is tax audit limit enhancement to 10 crore. So the tax audit limit has been enhanced to 10 crore, but that is subject to condition. And the condition is if the total payment or total receipts have only 5% cash payment and 5% cash receipts. In that case, the tax audit which you can avail the limit enhancement of 10 crore. Otherwise, it is same as before. Then there is a very big relief in the form of assessment opening timelines. So basically, some tax officers, they harass people, they put up the interest penalty and all those things. So previously the timelines were 0 to 4 years without any quantum. So the tax officer has the power to open your cases up to 3 years from the date of assessment, and 4 to 6 years if the minimum escaped amount of tax liability is 1 lakh. So now the period has been reduced. So basically, those people who have basic income, so they won't be harassed. The tax officers won't be harassed them. So now the what they have changed is up to 3 years without any limit. So up to 3 years, they still have the power to open your case if they find something which you have hidden and you have not paid the tax. But the limit is 3 to 10 years if the tax liability comes to 50 lakhs or above. So basically, the basic individual taxpayer who has a limited income, so up to 3 years, they can open the cases. And if there is some big blunder, if somebody has hidden a major income, so they have the right to open your cases up to 10 years. Then dispute resolution committee. If any person having taxable income up to 50 lakhs and disputed income up to 10 lakhs, they are eligible to approach dispute resolution committee. So in small cases, because most of the people have income less than 50 lakhs, and in that case, if they have a disputed income up to 10 lakhs, they can approach the dispute resolution committee and come to a mutual consent. Okay, maybe if there is some hiding of income and all, they can disclose it and they can pay the tax on it. You can find out a solution through it. Then another change is a minor change. So basically the ITR dates have been modified. So normally the due date for filing ITR is 31st July, which is normally increased by 10 days or 1 month. Or this year we have seen a long increment up to 10th January. So normally it is 31st July, and with penalty and interest, you can file up to 31st March for belated and revised return. So this limit has been decreased by 3 months. So now you can file your returns up to 31st December. So the time limit has been reduced by 3 months to 31st December, and the time limit for assessment by tax officer has also been reduced by 3 months. So you will get a assessment very soon. Well, if you have a refund, you will get it soon. So it is beneficial for all the taxpayers. Then the TDS rates. So the TDS rates has been doubled for non-filers of ITR with a restriction of minimum 5%. So for example, there is a contractor who is earning an income of say 2 lakhs or 3 lakhs per year. He is not filing an ITR, assuming that my income is below the taxable limit. So I'm not required to file a return. So from now, from this year, financial year 21-22, if he's not filing a return in previous years and he is getting that same contract income, the TDS that will be deducted will be double of what it was deducted in the previous years. So for example, the contract for contractor it is 1% TDS, but from this year it will be 5% if he is not filing the ITR. And there are many sections of TDS wherein the TDS is deducted. So that would be double. If it's 5%, it would be increased to 10%. If it's 10%, it would be increased to 20%, subject to a minimum of 5%. Then another minor change, but very relevant, pre-filled ITRs forms will include the income from capital gain of listed transactions, your dividend income, your interest income from bank, FD, post office, all those incomes will be reflected in your pre-filled ITR. So there is no escaping, because this is a general thing that most of the people have some investment in bank, some FD. So there is a small interest amount which they receive, which generally they forget to mention in their income tax return. And then you get messed with the income tax department and all. So now what they have done is they will connect all those things with their server, and they will show you in your pre-filled ITR that you have this much of income from your bank, from your post office, so that income will be reflected and it will be easier for you to file the return and pay the taxes. So these are all the major changes which have been done in the direct taxation for individuals. So the previous things, the changes in slab rate. So basically, there is no change in slab rate. The slab remains the same as it was in the previous year. The surcharge, higher education cess, all those things remains the same. The standard deduction of 50,000 is still applicable. The rebate of 12,500 under 87A is still available. The tax rates on capital gains remains the same. So basically, the tax rate remains the same. Some relief has been given to the taxpayers in their taxation in the form of 80E or in the form of capital gains and all. So overall, it's a good budget for individual. There was a expectation in the market there will be some kind of taxation on COVID. So the tax liability of an individual will increase by some part because there will be a specific tax for COVID related thing, but it has not come. So basically, there is an advantage which has been received by individual taxpayers. So their tax liability has not increased and they have received some or the other benefits in the form of housing for all and all. So they can invest in houses and all, they can get the benefits in income tax period reductions. So I think I've completed my time. So I would like to conclude here.
Naveen, thank you very much for elaborating on all the points in a very minute manner. And I think you've broadly captured all the points. Although the budget had a very limited amount of changes for individuals, but I'm glad that you gave a full overview of what those changes are and how they, broadly impact the tax system for the individuals. And certainly your remark on that it's the right time to invest in real estate, that is certainly, important because it's a sector which has been struggling to sort of come back for last 4 or 5 years. So Naveen, thank you very much for giving the insights on individual tax changes in budget 2021. Now moving on to our next speaker, which deals with the most important changes for Aam Aadmi. So a lot has been discussed about Aam Aadmi. Everyone in the country talks about Aam Aadmi. Everyone talks about what changes it has brought to Aam Aadmi's life after the budget has come, after the budget has been announced. So to address the changes and impact of the budget on the common man, we have with us CA Mukesh Chaturvedi, who is a director of Jord Engineers, to address the insights and the impact that the tax budget is impacting the Aam Aadmi. Mukesh bhai, over to you and welcome to this roundtable. Please unmute yourself.
Yeah, am I audible now?
Yes, you're audible. Over to you, Mukesh bhai. Thank you.
Thank you, Vikas. Thank you for giving me opportunity. The opening was done fantastically by BM Saab. He covered almost everything, so I'll have very less opportunity of giving more insights. It's good thing that in our society we are promoting the youngsters like Naveen, Amit, and just now Anurag. These youngsters are coming up and taking participation. Where is Love? Love is not coming.
He should be coming in 5 to 10 minutes. He should be joining by 12 o'clock.
Okay, great. So this budget, in nutshell, presented by Finance Minister Sita Raman, was once in a century opportunity because a lot of the history says that pandemic comes like this in once in a century. So during the pandemic, Sita Raman had given so many stimulus packages, but none had great effect which it should have. So this is de facto a stimulus package, full-fledged stimulus package, not a budget alone. So the resources, it shows that it has been spent mostly on feeding masses by government. That shows the intention of the government to be in line with welfare state as mandated by the Constitution of India. The most glaring problem we had seen during the pandemic was for the migrant workers who had to run from pillar to post and had nowhere to go. This budget gives an opportunity or announcement by FM that there will be one nation, one ration card. So this is a very big step. Those migrant workers or anybody and living anywhere, he can claim his ration from anywhere in India. Most of the resources as shown in the budget, they have been spent on healthcare. The healthcare, the opportunity which government has got this year, they have taken as very excellently. The infrastructure which they have built upon a time, which is once in a or in line with the world standard. Mostly in this budget also, there is a huge jump in health infra. Almost 64,000 crore they are going to spend on health infrastructure. 35,000 crore they have set aside for vaccination of the masses. It's a good thing that there's no corona cess or for vaccination. Otherwise, it would have acted as a dampener. So this government has taken this step of not burdening the masses for this corona, for any corona cess. The corona cess has come, but it will not affect the general public. A big thrust has been given to infrastructure building, which will generate a lot of revenue to the government and employment generation. Agriculture infra has been a target area of this budget, for which again the government has introduced a new concept that wherever money goes, it should come from the same head. So they have introduced this agri cess on agri products only, not on everybody like a agri cess on income tax or custom or anything. They have specified identified the products where the agri cess would be introduced, and mostly it is on agri products only. There have been impact on some pricing because of the changes in custom duty and GST rates, like mobile phones, which is nowadays like a roti kapda and makan. They will become a bit costlier. But good news for the ladies, the gold and silver jewelry will become a bit cheaper. Premium luxury cars cost may go high. Refrigerator, AC, washing machines, where mostly the imported components are used, their prices would be a bit affected marginally. One good thing is that the private vehicles which people were carrying for 20 years and they didn't know what to do. Though there is no certain policy announcement, but some indication has been given that more than 20 years old vehicles, there would be some policy for scrapping of those vehicles, and the people who cannot sell those cars and don't know what to do is a burden on them. So they will get something out of it. In this budget, there is a announcement that some big corporations, PSUs, will be privatized. One of that is LIC. So for LIC has been a saver for the government, and it will be now be saving the government. Like LIC sale, I would say that it is like giving or sacrificing the hen giving golden eggs. The very good thing is that there is no increase in tax burden. People were expecting that there would be some relief in the tax brackets or tax rates or tax slab, but there's no increase or nothing has been changed is a good big relief. Income tax, people have already explained that above 75 years age of people, they don't have to file income tax returns. There is a revision in the tax audit limit. there is a lot of debate on the subject that interest earned out of PF and ULIP contributions exceeding 2.5 lakh, there will be taxation. Actually, it is a good thing for the masses because so far these insurance companies, they were pushing their ULIP products, which were not giving very good returns. And people were lured by their promises and presentations. So they were throwing their money in these ULIP products. Now there will be other avenues like mutual funds, etc., where people would be encouraged to invest their money. And on taxation, I would skip. A lot has been said already. So this budget gives good relief to masses. Thank you. I would sum up. Thank you, Vikas.
All right, Mukesh bhai, thank you so much. I think you covered all the points, which are important. My question to you is, I mean, how do you see, this budget? Is it something that has favored Aam Aadmi or has it burdened Aam Aadmi? In a nutshell, if in 1 minute you can just say, what is your take on how this budget has impacted Aam Aadmi? Is it?
It has not, actually, it has not burdened Aam Aadmi. That is a big relief. Okay. Because so far we have been seeing in history that anything, any crisis like this, whether it was Bangladesh war or whether it was any drought, the cess levied on income tax, petrol, everything, all the products, there were cess. Now the cess has been levied, this corona cess, but it is restricted to some items and it will not affect Aam Aadmi. So this pandemic, which would have created catastrophe if anything like that would have been introduced by the government has not done it. That's a big relief.
So you see as a positive headwind budget for the Aam Aadmi?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Anything that was expected which could have been done, for Aam Aadmi in the budget? I mean, anything that...
Yeah, there was an opportunity for the government to temporarily upwardly revise the income tax limit for maybe for 1 year they would have done, but that would have created a lot of mess. So they have not ventured into it. But something if would have been done maybe for a year for those people who have lost their jobs, but their salaries have come only for part of the year, or their income have been adversely impacted, some relief would have been given.
Okay.
But again, there are no parameters how those relief can be given. So government has not taken that controversial step.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mukesh bhaiya. Now
you.
moving on to our next topic, and the next speaker is a subject very close to my heart. It's international tax changes in the budget. So a lot has been, that as far as the tinkering changes are concerned, on international tax, some changes certainly have made headway in this budget. So to address these changes, we have with us a young guy from a community, young bright guy from a community, Amit Kumar Pathak, who is the director at Nangia Anderson, which is also an Anderson global consulting firm representing in India. Amit, over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Firstly, I'll start with my lots of regards and cherished first to our veteran BM uncle. Thank you very much to Vikas Bhaiya for giving me a chance to present and interacting with my all community members. And my pranam to all the speakers and those who have joined this webinar. I think almost 35 people over here. So let me, so you have given me a topic for the international taxation. So I have briefly, we have seen last year so much negativity and onslaught of pandemic. So I put it as a, being optimistic, I put it as a red carpet for the foreign investor, which is kind of a bucket for having so there is not so changes, big changes, which be so impressive for us. But on the same time, I vote of thanks to the government for taking Valley. It's because if you see, there is lots of every government has a different style of working, and though they have certain government has a top priority sectors as by and large. So this government has, what I understand, this government has a by and large defense, healthcare, agriculture, and you can these are the first priority for them. And of course, there is two lobby. One is in the favors and one is not. And I think let's start with what are the changes wherein the foreign investment into the India. So FDI of US dollar 30 billion raised during the first 6 months of 2021. Record net flow of INR 2.1 trillion by FPIs in equity during April-December 2020. Buoyant capital markets setting stage for a big ticket asset monetization. Net flow inflow of INR 2.6 trillion. That is previous year INR, it was 1.82 trillion in mutual fund industry during April to December 2020. Sensex and Nifty, that was, I think the Sensex is going, up and up. So Sensex and Nifty returns at 16%, fastest growing market cap to 184.77 trillion, which is somehow gained by more than 75%. So there's a policy announcement impacting the financial market. So no new COVID levy. So, there is a lots of echo in the market that there might be a corona cess and some other cess to be, over. There is lots of surprises. Government give it as like earlier. By and large, as a relief, we don't have any COVID levy. Financial infrastructure is one of the pillar on which budget proposal rests. Sharp increase in the capital expenditure and thrust on investment in infrastructure to be funded through disinvestment, borrowing, and foreign investments. New ARC proposed to resolve NPA of public sector banks. But the most important is booster shot to make IFSC a global financial hub. Privatization of banks and general insurance companies and IPO of Indian largest sector of LIC. Different security regulations to be consolidated in a new rationalized code. Hike in FDI cap in insurance sector from 49% to 74%. Real estate investment trust and infrastructure investment tax to raise debt from FPIs. Insolvency and debt recovery process strengthened further. So let me go through with the recent tax development. So there is no tax changes in the capital gains of listed or unlisted equities, derivatives, or either with the debt securities. However, Section 94 be inserted by the government to propose and provide that provision of the interest. The limitation would not apply to the interest paid in respect of a debt issued by a lender, which is a P of a non-resident, being a person engaged in a business of banking in India. This amendment will take effect from this 1st April of 2021. So let me quickly go through with the treaties which will affect and with the respect of the capital gain. So France, Korea, Netherlands, and Singapore has exempted from the equity shares capital gain and the derivatives order debt. But although Australia, Canada, Ireland, Japan, Luxembourg, Netherlands, United UK, and the USA always have a taxable equity shares and a derivative as well. But the rate is as giving below in that sheet. So I will go through it quickly with the recent major developments. Was with the sovereign wealth fund and the pension fund. That's new tax holiday for us. One is so sovereign wealth foreign funds and a pension fund is a new tax holiday for all of us. But eligible investor, so the wholly owned subsidiary of Abu Dhabi Investment Authority, which is a tax resident of the UAE. For sovereign wealth fund notified by the government of India in meeting certain conditions that was mentioned in that annexures. Pension fund notified by the government of India in meeting certain conditions. Now, eligible investment is investment made between April 2020 and 31st March 2024 with a minimum lock-in period of the 3 years in debt, shares, or units of infrastructure investment trust, entity engaged in infrastructure facility, or any other specified business notified by the government. Alternative investment funds, category 1 or category 2, which have invested 100% of their funds in entity referred in B, right? Though in budget 2021 has proposed eligible investment in SPVs holding company with 75% in infrastructure business, AIFs with minimum 50% investment in infrastructure business or in investment in investment trust, infrastructure NBFCs with at least 90% lending to one or more infrastructure entities. I quickly go to the eligible income. So exemption is provided for income in form of interest, dividend, and long-term capital gains. Investment held for 36 months or more. Tax holiday open-ended for investment made during the period of April 2020 to March 2024. So what are the conditions to be met by the sovereign wealth funds and the pension fund in the new tax holiday? So condition to be met by the sovereign foreign fund is wholly owned and controlled directly or indirectly by the government of foreign country, set up and regulated under the law and such foreign country, and no portion of the earnings provided any benefited to any private person. Asset vest in the government of such foreign country upon dissolution, cannot undertake any commercial activity within or outside India, specified by the government of India by notification in the official gazette for that purpose. So condition to be met by the pension funds created establishment under the law of foreign country, including under the law of provisions or state of law, no liable to tax to foreign country. So budget 2021 has proposed restriction on borrowing for India investment, condition relating to cannot undertake commercial activity removed, cannot appoint director to monitor investments, not to participate in the operation of the investee entity, PFs which are liable to tax but exempt from tax as per their home country laws are eligible. So law of land will be applicable to them. So now I'm talking about the managing offshore funds from the India. So safe harbor regime will be, so safe harbor announced to eliminate exposure to offshore funds, structure to be approved by the government of India, several conditions to be met at fund level at the investment manager level, condition relating to minimum members participating interest in the fund, etc. relaxed for the category 1 FPIs, calculation of the management methodology prescribes applicable for financial year 2021 and 22. Budget 2021 has proposed that the government shall issue notification to relax condition for safe harbor regime for an IFSC fund manager and fund commencing operation before 31st March 2024. Now, new tax framework for funds and banks in IFSC India. So alternative investment fund in IFSC. So AIF manager and the trustee to be set up in IFSC India. Category 1 is infrastructure fund, that is with venture capital fund. Category 2 is a private fund. Category 3 is a long only fund or long short funds or hedge funds. Permitted to invest in securities listed in IFSC, securities issued by the companies incorporated in IFSC, securities issued by Indian and foreign companies, and other permissible investment as per alternative investment fund. So tax holiday for category 3 AIF and no tax compliances for non-resident tax investors, 10-year tax holiday for manager, no GST, lower cost and managing funds from India, borrowing in funds. Relocation of fund to IFSC, migration of investment held by fund to fund in IFSC on or before 31st March 2023, not to be regarded as transfer. Transfer of units or a beneficial interest of an investor to be tax neutral. Grandfather investment, that is a long-term investment holding. So grandfather investment, I think it was introduced somewhere in 2018, of the fund to be continued to enjoy capital gain tax on a future sale by the IFSC fund. Deemed income provision not applicable for IFSC fund pursuant to the section 56. Cost of acquisition and period of holding of the original fund available to the IFSC fund. No impact on carry forward of losses to the investee company on changes in the shareholding.
Amit, last 1 minute. Sorry to interrupt. Last 1 minute.
So I will just quickly take the foreign portfolio, which has recently amended. Budget 2021 has proposed that the withholding of tax at lower of 20% on the tax rate or rates or double DTA agreement. Lower rates under the DTA available only if provision of DTA are applicable to the recipient of the income and recipient furnishing on tax residency certificate. I think time is less and I'm just concluding here. And I'll share the slides with you all, which I prepared for the insurance is pending with me.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much, Amit. Thank you
Yeah.
for highlighting all the points as been announced in Budget 2021.
Yeah.
Now, moving on to our next speaker, we have Love Bhaiya with us. He has been able to join us now. So I would sort of go back to his topic, which deals with budget impact on markets. It's the topic which everyone, is looking at, whether or not the economy is doing well, but somehow the share market has been performing at the best. It is at the highest peak that one could have even imagined a year back or 2 years back. But to discuss this, to address what is the reason behind the market going up and what certainly budget means for the markets, we have with us our eminent speaker, Mr. Love Chaturvedi, who's a CEO and Executive Director for Reliance Securities. Love Bhai, welcome you to the CSRA Roundtable. Please unmute yourself and address the audience. Please unmute.
Yep. Thanks a lot, Vikas Bhai. Jai Shri Krishna to all the members and the audiences. I know this budget has been a bit special for the market, as you rightly said, Vikas Bhai. Actually, I would like to quote this. I love the way the budget speech started. The faith is the bird that feels the light when the dawn is still dark. A famous quote of Rabindranath Tagore is how Nirmala Sitharaman started the budget speech. It's very apt, and it's basically summarizes what is the intent of our government and what is the intent of budget. So, and that's why market is doing what it's doing, is because of this statement. I'll explain you that in a bit. So before I move to market, which I will, I would like to just give one thing, we want to tell one thing, that this budget is more than just the budget. It's actually the messaging. It is a messaging about the rejuvenated India, the resurgent India. And please excuse me, but India that does not give a damn to the rating agencies anymore. India has been on the recipient side of rating agencies, where for last decade or so, we have been discriminated on the rating in spite of being the one of the lowest debt to GDP ratio. We have been on the investment grade, and all other Western world countries who are deep down in the debt has still got the high rating. And that is the beginning of the journey that India has finally said, enough is enough. We give a damn. We care about our country and we care about the growth. And that is the messaging which market is taking. And market is about sentiments. We all know that. It's a sentiments which is playing. Obviously, I will touch base on what are the underlying reasons. We all know that. And then I will probably touch base that what actually we expect for the next 1 year for the markets to behave. Now, but just would like to take just 2 minutes. I know we are short on time, but if you see, this budget was fairly calibrated towards the 6 pillars: the health and the healthcare, the physical and the financial capital and infrastructure, the inclusive development for the aspirational India. That's like 55 to 60% of the MSME sector, which is primarily driving the growth, which is micro, small, and the medium sector. The reinvigorating human capital, the innovation and the R&D, and the minimum government and minimum governance. These are the 6 pillars. I could spend like an hour on each of them, but primarily what the message is that there is a growth and the growth and growth. This will be followed through 3 key pillars. One is the increase in the capital expenditure, which has gone up by more than 35 to 40%. Second is the asset monetization, like an LIC IPO, selling the private sector non-strategic units, selling a couple of banks, public sector banks, as well as the general insurance public sector. So there is a lot of monetization which is focused, and obviously reforms. So these 3 are the key pillars through which these 6 pillars are going to drive the growth. Having said that, what is in it for the financial market? For the financial market, I think our previous participants must have already covered this in a bit, but I will just touch base. The LIC IPO, the mother of all the IPO that will hit India ever, is something, if it becomes a reality, would be a big deal. Setting up of a development financial institution is like an old wine in new bottle, but we know, but a lot of time the new bottle works. We have seen that. And obviously addressing the bad bank, giving some tax exemption, a lot of things have been given on the financial market in particular. Now, financial market primarily it's about equity, fixed income, currency, and those various others ancillary markets. Before I jump to the equity market, which is what everybody's interest is, I will just give a fixed income. It's a bit of a dampener for the fixed income, just because of the borrowings that will be required to meet all the capex projections, and the deficit projections are all based upon the growth. The growth is what is going to be the key driver here. So there will be some hardening of, which we have already seen, 20-25 bips. RBI yesterday kept the rate pretty stable. They didn't change the rate, and they're going to take some liquidity out in a calibrated fashion. So for the fixed income, we see some rates hardening to happen. That actually is a good for the savers. So for the fixed deposits, for the investors, it's actually a good part. But for the borrowers, for the issuer, the things are going to be a bit expensive. And if it percolates down to the price, it may have some impact on the inflation. So that is on the fixed income side primarily. We all know that RBI has opened the GSEC market for the retail. That actually would be a next exciting thing to happen in the fixed income market space. Then we go to currency. Currency, obviously, we expect the tsunami of money to come in, but we all know that what foreigners do, they give money when you don't expect, and they take money when you expect the most. So this space will be should be watched for, that how the foreign money is going to pan out. And India should not and cannot have their fundamentals, economy, and the markets be solely rely upon the foreign money. A lot of it has happened in last 12 to 18 months, but if the growth comes back, and that to the inclusive growth, I think some of that may be diversified. So currency play may be a bit neutral in a way, but if foreign currency continues to pour in, then obviously there may be some positive impact. RBI usually intervenes in the currency market for the minimum volatility. However, it's going to be an interesting proposition. Coming to our equity market, obviously there are two things that I would like to mention here. One is that on the sector side, it's positive for the cyclical sector, it's positive for the mid caps, because there is only so much that you could do more on the large caps, like auto sector, cement, building materials, consumption, the consumer space, with this pent-up demand becoming a more stable demand post the pandemic, hopefully which should be behind us by this year, are some 2 or 3 key sectors to watch out for. Coming to the larger market, which is what everybody, which is at the Sensex level, has already crossed the 51,000, and Nifty is touching 15,000. If somebody would have told me on March 24th, when the Nifty was 7,200, that come January, let's look at 15,000, you would have thought that is the biggest idiot on the planet. But having said that, we have seen in markets, sometimes it's the non-smart people who actually make more money than the intellects and the smart. So that's why it's all about sentiments. If you see into what is a basic premise that is going, it is a bit prevalent now, that with 2020 was an year which was not good for economy and maybe excellent for market with regard to comeback. Though on the overall basis, it did not give a much return. It was just it just touched a double digit on the overall basis. But however, with the comeback, it was a very significant comeback. So that was a 2020. 2021, the economy, hopefully with all this, has to be double-digit growth. That's what we are all expecting. If it doesn't happen, then we are in big trouble. Markets then have to take a back seat and be a bit flattish in nature for the most part. However, if the earnings provides some good traction, if the companies start providing better earnings, there may be another some 5 to 10% upside. But I think this year will be the time that hopefully will be less about the market and more about the India as a country, the economy, the sectors, and the job. So this is what I believe would be the key focus area. If we see, there are three factors that actually played the role in 2020 in the market, which was the global liquidity, which was the no alternates, global liquidity, and the low interest rate regime. These were the three things that played role in the market in 2020. All three will continue to play the role in 2021. So from fundamentals that are going to play a role in market, there is not much changing. However, from the overall direction perspective, we are probably looking at flattish to 5 to 10% on a broad base. However, there will be a sector and there will be a stocks which probably continue to propel and give a more practical opportunity to enter and exit. My last bit, the risk to this is only twofold, from the economy perspective and from the market perspective. A, how's the pandemic and the vaccine is going to pan out? That's a one bit. And second bit is how all these policies and reforms are going to be executed. We know in India how the reforms constraint come. I don't want to get into a political space with farm laws and stuff, but we have seen that it's a bit difficult country to carry out any significant, meaningful reforms. But I think if government continues the reform side, and if pandemic and vaccination, hopefully doesn't bring any unpleasant surprise, I see 2021 to be one of the best year ever for India post-independence, for bringing the much required stimulus and the growth rate and the job inclusiveness. And that will clearly play out on the market side, on the sentiments perspective as well, on the capital market side. That's all I have. And I will now hand it over back to Vikas.
Thank you very much, Love Bhaiya, for very inspiring insights, that you have shared, right from the inclusiveness that the economy is looking at, right from the fact that a lot of money, a lot of funding is expected, remarks that you made on overall sectors, the way the economy is set to grow, the way markets are set to grow from this point, and giving very inspirational insight to all the participants here. And what I hear from you is that 2021 is going to be the historic year so far as the markets sentiments are concerned, so that markets enhancement is concerned. So it's a very positive news.
I would just like to say that there is a famous say, the apna time aayega, ab aa gaya hai dost, India ka time aa gaya hai.
Excellent. No, you started with that the India now gives a damn, to the world, and it really says that, look, bhai, we are there at the global stage, we are at the center stage of the world. Now look at us and follow us. It's the time people globally will follow India, and not the time when India was looking that people should follow them. So I think the times have changed, the tones have changed, the tunes have changed. And with all this, we all should be looking at a very positive times for all of us. Thank you very much for this inspiring insight. We will move on to our next speaker, which is on the next topic, which is a discussion on NRI perspective of budget for both corporates as well as individuals. And to discuss this, we have amongst us a very senior veteran chartered accountant who is based in Dubai, Mr. Sahit Chaturvedi. Sahit Bhaiya, a warm welcome to you. CA Sahit Chaturvedi is a convener of retail enterprises at Indian Business and Professional Council. Sahit Bhai has made all of us proud, the Chaturvedi community proud in Dubai. He's been a CFO of a very large multinational corporation in Dubai, and helping the community by and large in last, I would almost say, a decade. Sahit Bhai, over to you. Welcome you to the CSRA Roundtable. Please share the insights on both the points, both on corporate as well as individuals, because our next speaker, Uminder Bhai, cannot make it today because he got sick due to COVID situation. He's not able to make to this webinar. So I requested Sahit Bhai already this morning to also cover on his part, to tell us what NRIs are feeling about the budget, what is the take of people in Middle East and in general of NRIs when they hear this budget. Over to you, Said Bhai, and again, a very warm welcome.
Thank you so much, because you have been so close to us every time, whether it was the streets of Mathura or the roads of Bombay or the colonies of Dubai. So you have been always there, and now we are really proud of you for your academic achievements and the way the CSR is coming up, it's shaping up. I can say that because from the literary quotes, the meeting has been given my predecessor, Speaker Mr. Love. I can say here, Sumitra Nandan Pant also has said once upon a time that Viyogi hoga pehla kavi, ah se nikla hoga gaan. Because the P.B. Shelley, as he says, that our saddest thoughts, our sweetest thoughts are those which are tell of saddest thoughts. So I think this pandemic of COVID, that post-COVID situations, which everywhere we know that there are the pandemic, there are the saddest thoughts, but the sweetest songs which has come now are from India. So the Bharat has given the Vishwaguru song now, the title, and really CSRA, when it originated in few months back, even in the pandemic situation only, the seasoned professionals whom we see as our pride, our honorable people, now leading the direction to us, and certainly this community. Now this new platform, or I can say a unique platform, which has been brought up now, will take many more things and heights in future. Now, as far as the NRIs are concerned, and the budget, that union budget is concerned, the union budget is addressing almost 130 crore population of India, and the NRI's representation in that population is less than 2%, I can say 1.3% population, which is 1.7 crore NRIs. When we say NRIs, those are the citizens who don't stay in India for more than 120 days. Previously, it was 180 days. So, but still they are citizens. So 1.3% their representation in the population. But in GDP, if we see, that representation is more than double. That is 3% representation almost in the GDP of India. When it comes to the foreign reserves, if we refer the RBI data, it is ranging sometimes it is 22%, sometimes 24, 25. So in the range of 22 to 25% in the forex reserve, the NRIs who, as per the tax definition, who are citizen but settled outside India, who are living in the foreign countries, basically those are employed. Their inward remittance, it is from the sacrifice of their earning, and really it is, we can say, a blood money what they are contributing to the Indian economy. From the data analysis, it is seen that 60% of that inward remittance is for the family maintenance, and 40% of that inward remittance is going for the investment, whatever ways of investment, whether it is a bank deposit, which is 20%, 8% in the other investments, means real estate type of the investments, blah, 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 whatever way. But the 60% is the family maintenance, 40% is for the investment purpose. And when it comes to the FDI investment, the equity inflow stands almost $500 billion. And that foreign remittance is said that 75-80 billion dollars. Now, this FDI's investment, which is targeted, the annual growth is taken that 100 billion to 120 billion per year. The annual growth is on the target. So my objective to say or highlights to that is, these are the situations where the population is only just 1.3%, and these types of the investments, directly or indirectly, NRI segment has always been in focus in the union budgets. From 1991 onwards, the NRI and NRE and NRO accounting situation, those came up in the banking sector. And now taking up this union budget 2021 has given basically primarily 4 gifts to the NRIs, which are being talked among the forums. First, it is a one-person company. It can be a new concept in India, but as we all know that in UK, USA, European countries, Singapore, even in Pakistan, that one-person company is there. So the best benefit to the NRIs is today when they go for the investment, if they want to start their own businesses over there, they have to follow the compliances of the large sectors, becoming director, signing the lot many compliances since the time these 300 shell companies has been seized and all these compliance measures has came up. That is very difficult for a person who is staying outside, who is working outside, and then getting involved in the business directly. So it is opening a good door for the NRIs, and it will give a benefit of corporate wealth. So liability will be limited. So it is an opportunity. We can say it is a gift to the NRIs from this union budget. The second gift, but gift is there, but the complications are not clarified, that what type of the compliances. We don't know even that whether the consulates or the embassies will be helpful to form the companies, to incorporate the companies, how the matters. I came to know from ICICI Bank, one of our fellow colleague in Dubai ICICI representative office, Mr. Amit Chaturvedi, he approached and he said that ICICI has come up with a unique product where being outside India, the people can open the business accounts can be opened, that businesses can be incorporated. Even ICICI Bank is giving the HR services and the CFO services for an example. So it was a good, for me, it was a news being in Dubai. Anyway, those complications may come up. It is just a highlight that how we need to see that how this one-person company, that OPC can work out and how can it yield in the benefit of NRIs. Second benefit or the gift of what I can say is a double taxation relief for the retirement benefit funds. One side, it is a benefit. The other side of the coin is that it is opening a Pandora box, which was mentioned in the Union Budget of 2020. Union Budget 2020 highlighted that any citizen whose income is not taxable in any other country will be taxable. And this open, Anurag can support me on that regard, that it was such a big issue because in Middle East countries where Dubai, KSA, Kuwait, Qatar, Oman, Muscat, that is where the income tax is not there. So once income tax is not there, everyone working over here, even the business communities, they were in such a threat that what will happen? The press release was issued from the finance ministry within a week time of that. But that press note still says that clarification in this regard will be added to the respective bill or the law or respective law. But that has still not amended, and that keeps us, that pandemic is there, that threat is there that any time, because the law has been made. It is appearing in the finance bill. What will happen, when will happen, we don't know. So one side, the gift is seen. The other side, that means the retirement benefit may not be the double taxation relief, but the other side, the regular recurring income, whether it will be taxed or it will capped or tax-free, we don't know. So that matter is still open. The third benefit or the gift, what we can say, is the relief for innocent NRIs. Now, innocent NRIs, which is basically opening the assessment of last 3 years, among 6 years or among 10 years time, that opening the taxation, tax assessments for NRI. It applies to NRIs also, although very few NRIs submit the tax returns. There is a knowledge gap in this sector, that the people don't know whether they should go for the nil tax income or the free nil taxable taxed income, or they should not go, whether they should file the tax return, they should not file the tax return. There are a lot of confusions and the threat are there. So the benefit is that if the time limit is mentioned and the amount limit is mentioned, that these type of the cases can be opened until 10 years. Otherwise, it is a 3 years assessment can be reopened. It is a relief to the innocent people. They can opt to go for NRI, means they're filing their tax returns based on their NRO account. But the other area, which is the definition of NRI, which is based on from taxation purpose, it is a count or the calendar days which are calculated from the passport. There is no NRI card as such till date. In India, there is Aadhaar card for the citizens, but for NRIs, the citizen passport, which is for the normal citizen or for the NRI citizen, always there is a confusion that how many days, when entered, from which immigration port, even the 1 day of the calendar, the time lag of the counting also matters. So that is the area which is still kept open. And I think if there is something, I will love to hear that from the seasoned professional, because to my knowledge, there is no specific provision or the card or the recognition for the NRIs which gives this NRI status other than the calendar days calculation. Now again, last year 2020 union budget, the time limit was reduced from 180 days to 120 days. Now considering this post-COVID effects, this post-COVID effect where the people are staying back in India, if they traveled and somehow in the lockdown, if they could not travel, the clarifications are awaited in this finance bill that they will come back to 180 or some type of the clarifications officially, because there are some news and rumors, some clarifications, but the knowledge gap is present that whether this pandemic situation, how many days relaxation will be given to the NRI status to avail, because there is no NRI status card as such. It is always every year the attendance is calculated, and then it is up to the authorities whether the person is NRI or is not NRI. The fourth gift which can be seen from the budget is the affordable housing. NRIs at individual level, they are very particular, even from the very lower range of the income or the monthly income. There are the opportunities, because in the big cities, even if we see that 35% represent as the affordable housing sector, so it is a good benefit for the NRIs as such. Now from the corporate side, if we look into the union budget 2021, I can say it is a thematic approach of economic revival than any fiscal control. So far, our approach has been a fiscal control. Now we have been towards the economic revival, whether it is infrastructure, Atmanirbhar Bharat, Make in India, relaxation in tax, custom duties, anti-dumping duties. These all are going to benefit the corporate houses, even from the NRI's prospect. The good thing what we are seeing being overseas and associated with the business community and the councils, that delegations are already started. Even Dubai Expo 2020, which was planned for last year, now it is postponed. It is going to start from 1st October 2021. Today, there is a delegation from FICCI and the Commerce Ministry, and I'm happy to mention that in that meeting I have been invited and I will be joining that meeting today at 4:30. That it is planned. So as soon as the union budget is declared, the Delegations are already declared. Those things have been started. That exhibitions, the virtual exhibitions, what has been done even in the pandemic time are remarkable, are commendable. So we can say it is a thematic approach. From Middle East, the Lulu Group, the chain of supermarkets, has already declared a 55,000 crores investment in India, and many more things are in the pipeline. And the FDI investment, which is from the insurance sector, yes, it is a very welcoming node of 74%, up to 74% investment. But as far as the custom duty revisions are concerned, the time will tell us that whether it is in the benefit of NRI companies or it is the opposite side, because Make in India, from the point of Make in India, the revisions of the budget in the custom duty, yes, those can be the other side, but the exporting to the country is another side of the coin. So the time will let us know that how it is moving. But if I conclude that I have to honor the time, I think. So if I conclude, I can say that the word economy is derived from oil prices, oil economy. And we all know that oil is in stress, but that stress can also be in benefit of Indian economy. But our Chaturvedi's economy, if I comment, to be subjective on our community and Mathura particularly, that is known for gold, and Dubai is also inclined with the gold. So whenever the Dubai name comes, it is a gold. When Chaturvedi's name comes, it is again gold. The gold prices are shining. The future is bright, and I'm sure that these NRIs benefit, which is just a 1.3% population. For us, yes, it is a large population. The count is being carried by CSRA, that we will be in the right knowledge after some time, that how many people are staying in Dubai, what are the percentages, what are the statistics, the initiative, the grand initiatives. I again thank and regard CSRA, all the seniors and my colleagues and my fellow members. And I say again, thank you so much, Vikas, for the wonderful coordination and taking the lead for these types of the unique approach, which has never happened in our community category. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Syed Bhai Sahab, for enlightening all of us. Again, very encouraging words of wisdom coming from you on how the community of NRIs being so small yet so significant for the economic growth of India, and why it is so important for India to ensure that NRIs do their job in the economic growth for the country. So thank you, Syed Bhai, again, and I'm very delighted to hear that you will be also joining the session with FICCI today, representing the CA banner, taking to the next level, and certainly our community banner to the next level. Thank you very much, and keep up doing the good job. So friends, we have come to an end of all the, I would say, so the roundtable has come to an end, where all the speakers invited on the roundtable have deliberated, have given their thoughts and insights on what they feel about the budget. So it's the time. We are sort of left with 10 minutes to conclude this session. So my request to everyone is, because I have not seen many questions.
Because we have yet to hear your views.
No, my views in a nutshell, I think everyone broadly has captured. So my views are that I feel this budget is very sound basing budget. So it's a budget which sets out for a long-term perspective for the country. The budget certainly takes care of various sectors, and the two most important sectors that the country is looking through this budget is infrastructure and healthcare. So if you look, these are the two most important ingredients, I would say, of the economy that the budget is focusing on. The good part is that there is no tinkering, on the changes, neither in the corporate tax rate nor in the individual tax rates. So that's a very good decision. People have been discussing about disinvestment. So I think the policy there is very strategic. The government, the Niti Aayog, is very strategically looking into the companies where they can raise funds, because to meet the deficit is very important that from somewhere the revenue has to come in. And as Love Bhai also said, that monetization of the Indian asset is one of the ways that the government is looking at. And I'm very sure that the way they would be rolling out the strategy, I was reading this morning also of the PSU, disinvestment, it will be a sound one, because the advisors at helm would ensure that the India's sovereignty and integrity is not compromised on taking these important measures. In terms of FDI, I think the insurance enhancement, the limits enhancement in the budget for insurance sector investments going from 49% to 74% is a very encouraging one, because a lot of large insurance companies, houses, both in Europe and US, which have been looking at Indian market for a very long time. So it opens a gateway for them to invest. And also, if you look at it from a perspective of a general health and well-being, India in general is only probably covered 10% so far as the life insurance is concerned. So more money coming in would obviously mean that we'll reach out to more people in terms of income. I think it's a very important step so far as the FDI is concerned. The finance minister also allowed that the withholding tax rate that would be applied on the FPI's withholding tax would be the beneficial tax treaty rates. So that is again a big booster, I think, for the foreign investors who are investing as portfolio investors in the country. So if you look at it from an overall perspective, the budget, in my view, is a very sound budget. I mean, it's not about what individuals are getting or what corporates are getting. This time, the budget has really laid the foundation for the economic growth of the country. And while they have done it, the long-term vision or near to short-term long vision, I think 3 to 5 years have been captured. And the government, as Love Bhai also said, we are not there to tell the world that, look, we are not there to please anyone. So it's a time where the country has to focus on its own fundamental. I mean, you look, the focus of the government is the human capital. I mean, they're looking to how, inclusive growth can take place. I mean, one of the elements is the whole concept of minimum government and maximum governance. Everything is going faceless. This time they have even made the IT process very, going from face-to-face meetings to a faceless proceeding. So if you see, a lot is being done to make the ease of doing business in India, enhancing the ease of doing business in India. OPC, one-person company, has been a major challenge for NRIs. The limits again has been reduced there. So if you look at it from that perspective, the government is constantly focusing on how the India should be seen as in top 50 countries of ease of doing business. India has moved in 5 years. It's ranking from being 142nd country to 63rd country now. And with the Prime Minister Modi continuous relentless efforts to bring the India into top 50, I think we are not distant. We are almost there. Probably in this year rankings, we would be in the top 50 countries of the world. So I think a lot has been done on that side. Pre-filing of returns, small things. I mean, if you look at income escaping reassessment, section 147 that we always talk about, from 6 years, it have gone to 3 years. So I think the government is trying to increase the confidence of taxpayers. The government is trying to buy in that, look, if you are a genuine taxpayer, we believe in you, we trust you, we let you go. So don't play, don't be smart, just be an honest taxpayer. And if you are that, we will honor you. You contribute in the growth of the country, and it will be a rewarding win-win situation to all of you. And if you see in the last 3-4 years, the number of taxpayers have simply gone from, the numbers which I have is from 3.5 crores to almost 6.48 crores taxpayers who have filed the tax return. So because of this government creating a trust with the taxpayers, because of the fact that the government wants to give an opportunity to a genuine taxpayers, these things is happening. And the element of positivity is there in the country. So for me, I see this budget as a very positive budget for economic development, overall development, taking into account 4 to 5 years. So this is in a nutshell, I would want to sort of summarize my views with, given a very short amount of time that we have. I would request, I would open the floor to people who have questions to our speakers, because there were only 4 or 5 questions which were being asked by Mr. Sunil Pathak, but I don't see Sunil Pathak on the call right now, so I am not. I don't think I will take his questions. If Sunil bhai, if you're there, please please unmute yourself and you can ask your questions, because I don't see.
Is it Sunil Pathak or Sushil Pathak?
No, Sunil Pathak.
Okay.
So we have a lot of questions from Mr. Sunil Pathak, but I don't see him online. So I would skip his questions, and I would request people who have any comments to make, any questions to make. The floor is open. It's a round table. So I would like to request anyone who has questions, just unmute yourself and put the question before the speakers. I invite the people. The floor is
name the person who will speak.
Sorry?
I am Sushil Pathak.
Yes, Sushil ji?
Can I ask?
Yes, go ahead, please.
अच्छा, मेरा सवाल ये है कि अभी जो आपने दिखाया था सीनियर सिटीजन के लिए जो कंसेशन दिए गए 75 साल से ऊपर वालों के लिए, तो क्या वो बेनिफिट सिर्फ इन पेंशन और पेंशन से इंटरेस्ट पे ही है या सभी तरह के इंटरेस्ट पर है? और अगर बीच में कोई और इनकम भी आ जाए, जैसे कुछ गिफ्ट मिल जाए या कहीं से कंपनसेशन मिल जाए, तो उसको फाइल करना पड़ेगा? और दूसरा सवाल ये इसी से मिलता जुलता कि क्या ये बेनिफिट जब सिर्फ पेंशन से ही था, लिमिटेड था, तो क्या ये एक्सटेंड कर देते अगर सैलरी वालों पर भी, तो क्या कोई नुकसान होता था गवर्नमेंट को?
Okay, Naveen, can you take this question?
Yeah, I am taking this question. So basically, the communication till now, what we have received is that there will be some notified banks. So a person may have multiple accounts. Bank accounts. So he has to choose one of the account out of those accounts, and he has to approach that particular bank to give that declaration. So it cannot be done at different banks. It has to be done at a particular bank. So if we as earlier, for refund, we have to mention a particular bank account. So we may have 5 or 10 bank accounts, but we have to mention that for refund, we need our refund in this particular bank account. So similarly, for senior citizens, I believe it would be something like that, that you can pick a particular bank that we are happy with this bank, and we can go ahead and give a declaration to them. And as far as interest income and pension income is, so specifically, the budget speech, it clearly mentioned that that's exemption for 25 years and above. It is specifically for those who have income only and only from interest and pension. If they have another income from salary or maybe from other thing, then they won't be falling under this category, and they have to file their return as usual, as they were doing in the previous years. I hope this sorted out your query, or if you have another question.
नहीं, जब यही सवाल था कि सिर्फ पेंशन से ही है इंटरेस्ट से, तो सैलरी वालों की भी अगर करते तो आपके विचार से कोई नुकसान होता था गवर्नमेंट?
सर, आई थिंक कि गवर्नमेंट ये अज्यूम करती है कि व्हेन यू आर 75 years and above, so most of them don't have a salary income. So basically, they are not earning much. It's just their saving and investment which they have kept up. If they are government employee, they must be earning some sort of pension. If they have some investment, they are be earning interest in the form of, say, FD or bank interest or in whatever form. So that's the main source of income for people who are 75 years and above. So this is a specific thing, a specific benefit given to them.
So वो तो मैं समझ गया. मेरा सवाल था, अगर नीचे एक्सटेंड कर देते 60 साल वालों को पेंशन मिलती है, और अगर तो उसको कोई नुकसान था गवर्नमेंट को अगर हमारी 60 साल वाले 62 साल वाले की भी सैलरी इन पेंशन है और उसको ऊपर इंटरेस्ट मिल रहा है, तो उसमें नुकसान तो नहीं था ना फाइलिंग से कुछ गवर्नमेंट का, जब ऐसी लिमिटेड सोर्सेस से ये?
देखिए, नुकसान तो नहीं था उसमें, पर गवर्नमेंट भी अपना कुछ ना कुछ क्राइटेरिया लेके चलती है. हमारे सबके कुछ ना कुछ.
समझ गया. मैं आपके विचार से पूछ रहा हूँ, अगर आप होते तो क्या आप इसको एक्सटेंड कर सकते थे कि चलो भाई हर 60 साल के बाद भी जैसे पेंशन में आया उसको पेंशन इंटरेस्ट है, तो कोई भी आदमी रिटर्न भरने की जरूरत नहीं है उसको, क्योंकि सब चीज लिमिटेड है. 26 AS में आपका सब इंटरेस्ट आ जाते हैं, सब बैंकों से आते हैं आपके में, तो
ये चीज
तो चुरा सकता नहीं उसको.
आप ठीक कह रहे हैं, ये एक बेनिफिट होता, पर एक बेसिक असम्पशन है कि भाई जो ऑलरेडी 75 years पार कर चुका है, जनरली दे डोंट हैव अ सैलरी इनकम. बिकॉज नॉर्मली दे आर नॉट इन फुल टाइम एम्प्लॉयमेंट। तो ये एक एक्सपेक्टेशन की भाई 75 ईयर्स एंड अबव इज अर्निंग अ सैलरी, तो वो शायद गवर्नमेंट को, मे बी लोग काम करते हैं, ऐसा नहीं है, दे वर्क इवन टिल 80 ईयर्स और 90 ईयर्स ऑफ एज, बट गवर्नमेंट इज अज्यूमिंग कि भैया जनरली 75 ईयर्स एंड अबव दे डोंट वर्क, सो दिस इज नॉट रिक्वायर्ड।
एक शायद मेरा सवाल आप समझ नहीं पा, मैं समझा नहीं पा रहा हूँ। हमने कहा है कि अर्निंग करते हैं, 80 साल वाले भी करते हैं, इसी रन तो अभी भी कर सकते सर्विस। सवाल है कि जो सिर्फ जिसकी लिमिटेड इनकम है पेंशन से 60 साल के बाद भी और इंटरेस्ट है, तो अगर 60 साल वाले को एग्जाम कर देते तो क्या आपके विचार से मैं बता दूं, अगर आप होते तो आप करते कि नहीं करते?
सर वो ओवरऑल जो टैक्सेशन पे इम्पैक्ट पड़ता है उस चीज का, जो टैक्स रेवेन्यू है गवर्नमेंट का, तो अगर उस चीज को अगर हम एग्जेम्प्ट कर देंगे तो कहीं ना कहीं गवर्नमेंट को जो इनकम हो रही है, जो गवर्नमेंट का टैक्स रेवेन्यू है, वो कहीं ना कहीं हिट होता।
सुशील जी,
इनकम तो सिर्फ एग्जाम्पशन तो सिर्फ रिटर्न से है।
सुशील जी एक मिनट सुनिए। हजारों ख्वाहिशें ऐसी कि हर ख्वाहिश पे दम निकले, हर ख्वाहिश वित्त मंत्री तक पहुंचती नहीं है। आपकी ख्वाहिश पहुंच जाएगी, अगले बजट में हो जाएगा, नहीं पहुंची तो रह जाएगा। लेट्स गो टू द सम अदर क्वेश्चन।
Next
अगर समय बचे तो आखिर में एक और पूछूंगा, अगर आपकी अनुमति होगी तो। अभी तो खैर इतना ही है।
अगर नया सवाल है तो पूछिए, नया सवाल है।
अगर समय नहीं, वो समय आखिर में पूछूंगा मैं, अगर समय होगा आपके पास, क्योंकि बहुत से लोग सवाल पूछने वाले बैठे होंगे।
ठीक है, थैंक यू सुशील जी।
थैंक यू।
Any other questions? CP uncle, we would like to hear your comments. If you can also give your comments, being an expert on the markets.
Hello.
I am fully agree with the love, whatever he said. I am 100% agree with him. I am 100% agree with you. And actually, I am delighted to see the expert from our community. In earlier days, we used to go, BM Sahab might be remembering, to listen Palkiwala ji in Brabourne Stadium. Now we have our own Brabourne Stadium, listening our experts in-house only. So it's from me, it's actually निर्भय होकर बनाया गया आत्मनिर्भर भारत का पहला बजट है। इसमें किसी मतलब वर्ल्ड बैंक का फियर नहीं है, किसी भी मतलब जैसे IMF का है, इसका प्रेशर उसका प्रेशर, कोई प्रेशर नहीं है। ये निर्भय होकर बना हुआ बजट है, मैं वो उतना ही कह सकता हूँ। एंड 100% एग्री। आई एम माई सेल्फ लुकिंग कि अभी अगला 2 से 3 साल जो है ट्रेंड जो शुरू हुआ है, इवन कल मैं अपना हार्वर्ड मार्क्स का भी इंटरव्यू सुन रहा था, तो उनका भी यही था कि इंडिया में अभी ये ट्रेंड जो है बिगिन हुआ है, इट्स ए बिगिनिंग ऑफ द इकोनॉमिक अप ट्रेंड। So I am fully agree with that also. So that's my view only. और एक मेरा रिक्वेस्ट और है सभी से कि वहाँ पैनल पे है या अपना ऑडियंस भी सुनने वाला है, तो एक जो अपने सेंसस का काम चल रहा है, तो अपने यहाँ CA में जनरली आदत होती है कि फाइलिंग का लास्ट डे देखने का, और उसमें भी देखने का कि भाई 4 बज के डेट एक्सटेंड हुआ कि नहीं हुआ। तो मेरा रिक्वेस्ट इतना ही है कि भाई जितना जल्दी हो जाए आप सेंसस में अपना फॉर्म भरिए और समाज के कार्य में अपना योगदान दीजिए। थैंक यू विकास।
साहित्य जी ने, मैं एक बात आपको कहना चाहूंगा कि ये जो आपने NRI के नंबर ऑफ डेज के काउंट का बात की थी, तो उसमें इंडियन इनकम अगर उस NRI की 15 लाख के ऊपर हो तभी वो सारी चीजें लगेंगी।
15 लाख का ऐसा NRI की जो डेज वाली जो मैटर है, आई डोंट थिंक उसमें कोई इनकम लिमिट वहां पे देयर इज एनी सब
नहीं। वो जो उनको भरना है ग्लोबल इनकम के ऊपर से, तो अगर उनकी दूसरी जगह नील हो रही है, तो अनलेस इंडिया में उनकी 15 लाख है तभी वो एप्लीकेबल होगा। जरा इसको जरा देखिएगा।
जी बिल्कुल अवश्य। आप यदि किसी चीज को उठा के कह रहे हैं तो उसे इंस्टेंटली तो आंसर नहीं दिया जा सकता है।
नहीं,
डेफिनेटली
NRI की चीजें आप ज्यादा समझेंगे, लेकिन मेरे को कुछ ऐसा वो आ रहा है कि देयर इज समथिंग कि 15 लाख के ऊपर इंडियन इनकम हो और आपकी नील इनकम हो, तब आपका एपिसोड होगा। और इस बजट में उन्होंने ये भी कहा है कि अगर आपके यहाँ वहां पर वो नील इनकम की जगह टैक्स इनकम हो और उसके बाद में वो एग्जम्पशन दे देंगे तो फ्री हो जाएगा। एक चीज। दूसरा कंफ्यूजन है लोगों को कि टैक्स वर्ड यूज किया है, इनकम टैक्स वर्ड यूज नहीं किया है। तो कंफ्यूजन ये है कि आप जो GST 4% का अपने खाने पीने पे दे रहे हैं दुबई में, वो आप चूंकि दे रहे हैं तो वो शायद मंजूर हो जाएगा। तो these are some of the things which are happening.
सर एक्चुअली क्या है, मैं आपको एक इसमें पर्सपेक्टिव ऐड करूंगा सर, कि
हाँ जी।
बीच में कई सारे केसेस ऐसे आए यहाँ पे यूएई के अंदर, जहाँ पे एक हैवी ड्यूटी वीएटी पेमेंट करना पड़ा कई सारे बिजनेसेस को। तो उसका रीजन ये निकला कि इंडिया के पास, इंडिया एंड यूएई के बीच में एक ट्रीटी ऐसी नहीं है कि इंडिया जो है विद रिस्पेक्ट टू यूएई पीपल ट्रैवलिंग टू इंडिया, उनको कभी जीएसटी का कोई रिफंड देता नहीं है। तो इंडिया नॉट इज इन द ट्रीटी साइड कि जो यूएई को रिटर्न दे जीएसटी, और ये एक मैंडेटरी कंडीशन है फॉर यूएई कि अगर इंडिया देती है यूएई के सिटीजन्स को, तो यूएई देगा इंडिया के सिटीजन्स को। तो फ्रॉम इनडायरेक्ट टैक्स पर्सपेक्टिव ये रीजन है। सेकंड, अभी हमने कई सारे एनआरआईज का यहाँ पे टैक्सेशन करना शुरू किया। तो इंडिया में जो है, अगर हम यूएई का टैक्स रेजिडेंसी सर्टिफिकेट लेते हैं, इफ वी हैव अ टीआरसी ऑफ यूएई, देन हमको एलटीजीसी एंड शॉर्ट टर्म गेन्स, कैपिटल गेन्स के अंदर वी कैन इजीली सेव दैट 10% ब्रैकेट बाय यूटिलाइजिंग द टीआरसी हियर। तो कई सारे प्रोविजंस हैं जो कि एप्लीकेबल हैं। It may further strengthen here from an UAE perspective कि considering the tax residency, yet we have to see that कि कितने लोग उस ब्रैकेट में आएंगे अभी, जो कि शायद बिकॉज ऑफ कोविड दे स्टेड इन इंडिया मोर देन 120 days। तो वो सिचुएशन भी काफी कई सारे लोगों के साथ है यहाँ पे, एंड एवरीबडी इज वेरी अप्रीहेंसिव कि भाई बिफोर द 31st March will there be some announcement from the finance minister with respect to that relief kind of stuff?
गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया तो लास्ट मोमेंट पे ही अनाउंसमेंट करती है। और ये जो नहीं, ये जो सीपी ने बोला कि सीए जल्दी रिटर्न फाइल कर दें, ये पुअर सीए के हाथ में नहीं होता है, वो क्लाइंट के हाथ में होता है। वो करेगा तो सीए करेगा, आगे वो नहीं करेगा, उसकी बैलेंस शीट लास्ट मिनट तक लोग के रखनी है तो रखनी है। एवरीबॉडी विल क्राउड एट द लास्ट जंक्शन, नॉट बिफोर। बट वन सजेशन is with Anurag and Sahitya ji, that prepare a white paper on taxation for NRIs in Dubai as such for our Indian brothers, कि भैया तुम्हारा ये अगर इतना होएगा तो हो जाएगा, इतना नहीं होएगा नहीं होएगा, घबराना नहीं, समझे ना। तुमने अगर वहां से गिफ्ट दे दिया अपने परिवार वालों को और उनके हिसाब से आपने बिल्ड करके नए अकाउंट में इनकम आ रही है वगैरह वगैरह, तो एक गाइडेंस का एक व्हाइट पेपर डाल दें और उसको हम लोग इसके CSRA के थ्रू मूव कर दें, तो आज 500 के ऊपर आपकी पॉपुलेशन है, उसमें बहुतों को फायदा हो जाएगा।
जी बिल्कुल बिल्कुल।
पिछले साल एक चेंज आया था डेफिनेशन में, सेक्शन 6 में एनआरए की डेफिनेशन में। तो उसमें पहले जो था कि 9 आउट ऑफ 10 ईयर्स में अगर कोई नहीं है तो ही गिना जाएगा, और अगर उसके मोर देन 182 डेज आउटसाइड रहता है तो इज ए नॉन इंडियन और नॉन रेजिडेंट। लेकिन उसमें 2-3 कंडीशन और लगा दी कि लास्ट ईयर में 60 डेज भी रहना चाहिए, 60 डेज नहीं रहना चाहिए, लास्ट 4 साल में उसको 365 डेज टुगेदर नहीं रहना चाहिए। तो इससे थोड़ा कंफ्यूजन तो बना है इन डेफिनेशन ऑफ इंडियन सिटीजनशिप टैक्सेशन।
इसीलिए वो सब्जेक्ट मैंने थोड़ा सा हाईलाइट किया कि आज कोविड की सिचुएशन में तो इसके जो है, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल एनआरआई का कोई स्टेटस रिकॉग्निशन नहीं है। इट इज बेस्ड ऑन द कैलेंडर डेज, अटेंडेंस के बेसिस पे एनआरआई डिक्लेयर कर दिया जाता है। और दूसरी चीज, आज की सिचुएशन में कोविड के पोस्ट कोविड न जाने हजारों लोगों के साथ में ऐसा हुआ है, केवल दुबई वालों के साथ ही हजारों लोगों के साथ ऐसा है यहाँ या वहां फंसे हुए हैं।
182 डेज नहीं है, लेकिन 60 डेज अगर यहाँ रह गए तो हो गए इंडियन, आपको रिटर्न तो फाइल करनी पड़ेगी।
तो ये एक्सपैट्रिएट के साथ भी बड़ी प्रॉब्लम हो रही है।
तो ये एक समस्या है। We'll look into that। इस पे बात करेंगे, इस पे we should review। और जैसे आपने कहा भाई साहब, बहुत समीचीन सजेशन है और हमें इसके ऊपर करना चाहिए। और दूसरा, गोल्ड के ऊपर भी लोगों का बड़ा रुझान रहता है, उसके ऊपर भी हमें कभी ना कभी कुछ एक टिप्पणी लानी होगी कि यहाँ से गोल्ड रेगुलेशंस क्या हैं। विजिट पे लोग आते हैं, उनकी अपेक्षा रहती है ज्यादा से ज्यादा सोना लेकर के जाएं, और जो यहाँ से जाते हैं भले वो एम्प्लॉयड हैं, वो भी गोल्ड लेकर के जाते हैं और उन्हें कस्टम्स पे अनेकों तरह की दिक्कतें फेस करनी पड़ती हैं। हालांकि कानून इजाजत देता है, फिर भी वो उसको फेस नहीं कर पाते हैं और वो किसी न किसी तरह की सिचुएशन में स्ट्रगल करते हैं। So we should give
गोल्ड के लिए तो सिल्वर लाइनिंग दिखी है इस बजट में. गोल्ड के लिए सिल्वर लाइन है.
नहीं, सिल्वर लाइन तो है गोल्ड के लिए, बट वी हैव टू सी फ्रॉम आवर
नहीं,
साइड.
ना नॉमिनल टैक्स है, नॉमिनल टैक्स पे कर दो, फिर भी आप पैरिटी पे तो आ जाते हो ना.
जी जी जी.
Okay, moving on to any other speaker. I mean, any other questions? Because we are almost 10 minutes over our time. Any other questions? If anyone has, I would request.
हेलो.
हाँ जी.
हाँ विकास जी, मैं ये पूछ रहा था, जैसे 75 इयर्स वाले की इनकम है, उसमें टीडीएस काटेगा तो वो टीडीएस कैसे लेगा? कोई इंटरेस्ट इनकम ज्यादा आई हुआ तो टीडीएस का रिफंड कैसे ले? उसके लिए तो रिटर्न भरना पड़ेगा ना.
वो ये जो बैंक है वो खुद रिटर्न भर रहा है आपका. बैंक आपका रिटर्न भरेगा. दिस इज द फैसिलिटी दे आर गिविंग कि वन बैंक में आप अपना पेंशन लीजिए, वन बैंक में आप ब्याज लीजिए और डिक्लेरेशन दीजिए, एटीसी वगैरह के डिक्लेरेशन दीजिए. उसके बाद बैंक मैनेजर हैज टू फाइल द रिटर्न. नाउ how many banks will be allowed for that purpose? That announcement will come, but most probably all the nationalized banks will be forming part of that situation.
Yeah, the compliance is on bank now.
And return will, if the refund is there, it will come into that your bank account which has been given.
तो यदि ज्यादा बैंकों में हुआ तो फिर अपने को उनको डिक्लेरेशन देना पड़ेगा सर?
नहीं, मेरे ख्याल से वो एक बैंक पे कर रहे हैं और शायद वो बोलेंगे कि आप सारे बैंकों का खाता एक जगह करिए.
अच्छा, ठीक है.
क्योंकि ज्यादा जगह बैंक करके आप अपना टीडीएस बचाने की कोशिश करते हैं, तो गवर्नमेंट अब धीरे धीरे चाहती है कि वो सब एक जगह इकट्ठा हो, मतलब, और आप उसके हिसाब से अपनी इनकम को डिक्लेयर करिए और आगे बढ़िए. मतलब
ठीक सर, धन्यवाद.
Any other question?
अगर आप परमिट करें अंत में मैं पूछ लूं जो मेरा पहला सवाल था.
हाँ जी, बोलिए.
चलिए, वैसे तो मेरे सवाल का जवाब आपके दूसरे सेशन में मिल गया, और मेरा सवाल ये था कि हम सभी हिंदुस्तानी हैं, चतुर्वेदी हैं, सबकी हिंदी अच्छी है, लेकिन सब अंग्रेजी में क्यों बोल रहे थे, समझ में मेरे को नहीं आया. और या हमारी हिंदी खराब है बोलने वाले की, या सुनने वाले की हिंदी भाषा खराब है.
बजट अंग्रेजी में ही आया था, इसलिए अंग्रेजी में ही अच्छा लगता है.
नहीं, वो दोनों भाषा में आता है, हिंदी में भी आता है भाई साहब, ऐसा नहीं, अंग्रेजी में दोनों में आता है. बाइलिंगुअल होता है, छपता भी बाइलिंगुअल ही, आपके पास कॉपी भी आती होगी, अभी आया. तो एनीवे, आपने जब क्वेश्चन आंसर सेशन में सबने हिंदी में बोला, मुझे खुशी हुई. अगर पहले भी बोलते तो हमको भी हिंदी आती है, आपको भी अच्छी हिंदी आती है, हम सब समझ सकते हैं, और ऐसी उसमें कोई क्लिष्ट भाषा किसी ने यूज भी नहीं करी. धन्यवाद.
अच्छा सजेशन है, नेक्स्ट टाइम से ध्यान रखेंगे.
हम हिंदी को बढ़ावा दे. क्यों, हमें कोई गर्व होता है कि हम अंग्रेजी में बोलते हैं?
नहीं, सुशील जी, आपसे बस
आज के आधुनिक जमाने में आपको
कि आपका ये जो सुझाव है, ये प्रोग्राम के अंत में आ रहा है. अगर ये सुझाव आपने जब स्टार्ट किया, लोगों ने कार्यक्रम, उसी वक्त आप ये सुझाव डाल देते तो शायद सभी लोग अपना हिंदी में अनुवाद भी करके आपको बता सकते थे.
नहीं, मैं सोच कि कितने शायद एक आध को हिंदी में बोल रहे हैं.
ऐसा कोई इवेंट हो सुशील जी, आगे से कभी कोई इवेंट हो, तो मेरी आपसे दरख्वास्त है कि आप सबसे पहले अपना ये अनुरोध प्रोग्राम के शुरुआत में ही डाल दें, जिससे कि सारे के सारे जो श्रोतागण हैं उनको भी आनंद आ सके हिंदी का, और जितने भी बोलने वाले हैं वो भी अपनी हिंदी के माध्यम से अपने जो विचार हैं उनको विमर्श कर सकते हैं.
मैं तो अनिल जी का धन्यवाद करता हूँ, उन्होंने मुझे लिंक भेजा, कल रात को भेजा, मैं आज ज्वाइन कर लिया. और आपका भी धन्यवाद, आपने मुझे समय दिया इतना बोलने के लिए.
बहुत शुक्रिया आपका पार्टिसिपेट करने के लिए. सभी लोगों को आई वुड लाइक टू थैंक एवरीवन. सभी लोगों को बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, साधुवाद. आप लोगों ने सभी ने अपना समय निकाला इस मंच पर, इस राउंड टेबल को एक बड़ा सक्सेसफुल राउंड टेबल आप लोगों ने बनाया. आई एम वेरी थैंकफुल. दिल से, हृदय से धन्यवाद आप सभी लोगों का. थैंक यू टू ब्रिजमोहन अंकल, टू नवीन, टू अनुराग, टू मुकेश भैया, टू लव भैया, to everyone who made this successful, to Said Bhai Sahab, and who's a pride of Dubai, CP Uncle, founder of CSRA, Brijmohan Uncle, founder of CSRA. So CSRA की behalf पर सभी लोगों को धन्यवाद, साधुवाद. हमसे आप जुड़े रहिए, बने रहिए. हम जल्द ही अपना नेक्स्ट प्रोग्राम लेके आएंगे आप लोगों के बीच एक नई टेक्निकल टॉपिक पर, जिससे कि समाज को लाभ मिल सके. जो हमारा CSRA ग्रुप है, जैसा कि आप जानते हैं, एडुकेशन, एम्प्लॉयमेंट और हेल्थ के ऊपर हम लोग एक मंशा लेके चले हैं. सो इसमें आप जुड़िए. जो अगर आप अभी तक नहीं मेंबर बने हैं, सो प्लीज ज्वाइन अस. एंड जैसा CP अंकल ने कहा, जो अभी चतुर्वेदी सेंसस, ग्लोबल सेंसस चला हुआ है, कार्यक्रम चला हुआ है, उसमें भी आप फॉर्म्स भर के भेजिए. बी अ पार्ट ऑफ द मूवमेंट. थैंक यू वेरी मच अगेन. धन्यवाद आप सभी लोगों के लिए। आपका वीकेंड शानदार जाए, अच्छा जाए। हैव अ नाइस वीकेंड। नमस्कार एंड थैंक यू वंस अगेन।
धन्यवाद, धन्यवाद।
थैंक यू,
Well done, Vikas.
थैंक यू,
Well done. Well
थैंक
done.
यू, थैंक यू।